Hi, everyone. My name is Ori Applebaum, and I'm super excited to welcome you to the second Contract Standards Working Group meeting. So just to go over our agenda today, first, I'm going to do a quick overview of developer governance. Then we're going to do brief introductions. Then we'll jump into the main discussion, which includes some recent NEPs that we took a look at, as well as the main one that we want to formalize a decision on, which is Payout NFT standard extension. And then we'll open it up to Q&A. And lastly, talk about next steps and how you can get involved. So just to go into developer governance update, for those of you who may not be familiar, we've been engaging with the community over this concept for the last few months. And really, this is about decentralizing NEAR's development and empowering anyone in the community to contribute to evolving the ecosystem. And we've been bucketing developer governance into three areas, or stages, I should say: ideas, voting, and implementation. And just to go into the ideas, basically, anyone can submit an idea for improving the protocol or standards, and it starts with the community, from individuals to groups. And there are several community groups that have self-organized around various topics, and they have been meeting and coming up with ideas and submitting NEPs, and that's really cool. And you're welcome to join any of these community groups or start one yourself. And once you have an idea, you can submit it through a NEP, a NEAR Enhancement Proposal. And this is a similar process to other open source projects like Rust. And basically, we've introduced working groups in the voting stage, which allows them to basically take a look at these NEPs, help move them forward, make decisions. And we've picked several subject matter experts to stand each working group, and already bootstrapped this process and had recent meetings. And yeah, very excited to be doing that today with the contract standards group. So just to highlight the roles that are involved, in case you're not familiar, there are four key ones: author, moderator, reviewer, and approval. The author is the person who writes the NEP and presents it here in the call. The moderator is the person who facilitates the process and helps ensure that NEPs move forward. Reviewer provide technical expertise and just make sure that the NEP is viable. And then the approvers are the working group members who make the final decision. And they do that through this process that is outlined in NEP 001. It includes 3 stages: draft, review, and voting, and 2 outcomes: approved and rejected. And most of the activities in this process happen asynchronously, like on GitHub, except for the voting stage, which is what we are doing today. That's when we schedule an actual meeting with the author and the working group members to formalize the vote. So just to touch on the last stage, implementation, this is an area that we're still actively developing, but the idea is that once a NEP gets approved, we want to be able to enable anyone, whether it's the author or somebody from the community, to actually implement it. And so we're currently working on an overarching DAO, which will be responsible for funding distribution from the NEAR Foundation and other orgs, and there will be more information coming soon. So just again, to put it all together, we have community, which submits ideas using NEPs, working groups, which vote on those NEPs and help them move them forward, and then implementers who implement them for the benefit of the community. So with that super quick overview, I'm going to jump right into today and do the introductions. So first, I'd like to welcome the working group members and introduce them. So I'll hand it over to Marcelo.
Yeah, thank you, Ori. Hi, everyone. Again, I am Marcelo from Aurora. I've been involved in NEAR community since probably 4 years now, and yeah, looking forward to see make this voting happen.
My name is Evgeny. I'm working at Pagoda for more than 3 years, and I'm working on the core protocol and cryptography in NEAR.
Yeah, and hey everybody, I'm Vlad. I also work for Pagoda and joined quite early on, and I've been involved in developing the Explorer and the indexers. So we have, and well, I helped to shape some of the NEPs previously, and I'm happy to be part of the working group members these days. So thanks everybody.
So just moderator in the process today is myself. So I already said hello, but just hi again and excited to be here. And now I'd like to move it over to the author of the NEP that we have today, William. So hi, William.
Hey, I'm Willem. I used to work at Pagoda, well, before it was Pagoda, and now I have a company called AHA Labs, and we develop tooling for NEAR, and now with the new grant for Sorbonne, Stellar's new VM, which also in WASM. So I've also written probably the most popular NFT contract for launching collections, and that's how I got involved with this NEP, because I was one of the first to develop the payouts or use the payout standard. And so this NEP is just trying to fix some issues that I found with it. And, you know, my implementation is probably the most widespread, so it doesn't match the standard. So I just wanted to, you know, have parity there.
Well, welcome, William, and we're super excited that you're still actively participating and contributing, and we're excited to get to that NEP discussion in just a moment. So cool. Before we do that, we're going to start, as I mentioned, with the other two recent NEPs that we looked at, and I'm going to hand it over to Vlad to talk through them. So let's start with NEP 200. So
yeah, just a little bit of context. So as already mentioned, we actually started this developer gardens not so long ago, and it's only the second call for this group. And we were actively looking into the backlog of different proposals that were sitting there for too long, to be honest, but it's still the time to address them. And this was the NEP 200, which suggested to extend the NEP NFT NEP 171. The proposal was to add 3 new methods into it, but the reality that we first of all lost the momentum when it was proposed. The second, we haven't seen any demand to have those methods, and if we introduce them these days, we would need to arrive to some migration strategy, how to make sure that all the new contracts can reliably work together. I mean, the old wouldn't be hurt in any way, but the new ones, adding those methods would not of a huge help, because from the user's point of view, they would need to account for the chance that these methods are not implemented there. So overall, together with the author, we decided to reject this NEP and keep it in the box. But still, like if you want to pick it up, feel free to follow up with the discussion. It's all, we try to communicate everything on the GitHub pull request. So if you think that you can improve and propose a new NEP, please go ahead and do so. So let's move to the next one. So the next NEP that was proposed quite some time ago was about adding a standardized method called FT mint to the fungible token contract for fungible token standard. And the reason we rejected it is twofold. First of all, the main purpose of that method was to introduce observability from the outside world, like indexers, to notice that some new tokens were minted. This was actually addressed later in time, but quite some time ago as well, through the fungible token JSON events, which are already implemented in the standard SDKs. And the second reason for rejecting this proposal is that there is usually no standard way to mint tokens. They are usually minted when the contract is created. On initialization, you mint the initial total supply, and then after that, rarely there is like a standardized way to mint new tokens. So this was discussed extensively in the comments, and we agreed that together with the author as well, that it's not needed anymore, and we closed it with rejection. So now we are coming to the more exciting news, and then this NEP 276, right? And I'm passing the stage to William, who is the author of it.
Yeah, so basically this was an extension of the NFT transfer API, and I noticed when I was implementing it that was missing the memo parameter, which meant that internally you would always pass none. Now, I haven't used memo in any of the things that are, but at the same time, this is, it should be used by any third party that's trying to facilitate a sale. So if they want to use a memo for whatever reason, this allows them to do it. I also the max lin method was also required, with the idea that this contract would not allow a certain number of payouts and fail. But I think that that's also a little too strict, considering that the contract itself will understand they'll run out of gas if that's an issue, and then have a fallback. So you either fail because of that option or you fail because of gas, but they have the same result.
And I guess that approval ID became optional, right, Will?
Did that change too?
I guess so, yeah.
Well, I guess is that also optional in the NFT transfer?
Yeah, so it basically reflected the state of things there.
Okay.
Cool. So let's go to the next slide, and I will take it from here. I wanted to summarize the benefits that I identified when I was reviewing the snap, that we finally resolved the misalignment of this method, which should be very similar to NFT transfer and NFT transfer call. As William already mentioned, memo was missing, approval ID was required, which shouldn't be, and the max len was not always useful in all the cases. So it's great, and there is no breaking changes, there is no system fork, so I think it's safe to move forward. And if we would talk about the blockers and potential concerns, I haven't found any that are still outstanding. So I think it's overall all good to move forward to the voting stage, right, Ori?
Yeah, unless there's anyone else that has any concerns that they'd like to surface. So okay, I see a comment from Nate, and I'll read it. One technicality that William pointed out: the assert one Yocto should still exist, as hashtag payable only specifies that you can attach NEAR to a function call. Everything else looks good.
Yeah, that's I added the payable back, and that's still thing.
Yeah, the change was rewarded, and like now we are all good. Yeah. Thanks for mentioning it, Nate.
Yeah, thanks, Nate. Nate says neat, so I think we're good to continue unless anyone else has any other comments. Cool. All right, so now we are coming to the final voting stage, and I guess I would like one of the working group member to maybe present the decision on behalf of the group, or if you each want to speak individually, that works well.
I'd like to take a word here, but I want to ask Marcelo and Evgeny to maybe just also chip in and voice their decisions out loud, so we are like kind of have the quorum here. How do you feel, guys?
Yeah, thank you, Vlad. I myself have read this NEP. I'm not that involved in the development of smart contracts using this standard, but I kind of understood the discussion, and I think this is a pretty easy decision, that it's mostly improving and have no drawback. So yeah, on my side, I'm voting yes. So yeah.
Thanks, Marcelo. Evgeny?
I'm also voting yes, mostly for the same reason that were already mentioned here. It makes the API more consistent, and it doesn't introduce any new real functionality. It just makes the API more consistent, and it doesn't have any downsides that I could see.
Yeah, totally agree. Thanks, Will, for like fixing this misalignment for sure. I feel like this is a small but yet very important NEP to make sure that like the standards are clear and aligned and useful, and also reflect the reality that we have, as you said, in the most used implementation out there. So also voting for yes, merging it and moving forward.
Great. Yeah, I wish we had this process when we first wrote the payout, because I don't think this would have fallen through. Also, the one thing that I started out when I wanted to with this NEP was to, parse at the time was just using a hash map to represent the payouts. And but the standard says that the hash map should be embedded inside of a struct. But then, as Nate will attest to, the mint base had already used that because it was in the standard. So they didn't want to have to deal with two different data types. So we're stuck with this extra wrapping.
I see. Well, it's good to know that we recognize that there is potential breakage of the ecosystem if we do certain sharp moves. And
yeah, and there should be like more eyes on a standard before it, gets widely spread, because then hard to
totally.
judge.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's so very exciting. So I guess I heard we formally are voting yes to approve this, move forward. So we can definitely, after the meeting, add that to the NEP and take the next steps. Speaking of the next steps, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so basically I noticed that there is already implementation submitted to NEAR SDK RES, which is almost ready, I think. And the only missing bit is just addressing the remaining comments. This is quite an old PR. It's from April this year, and I'm not sure like how we'll address it, given that the author could have potentially moved on. So if somebody who is watching this or like willing to take it on, it would be awesome to see this follow up from the community. JavaScript SDK seems to be not having support for this at all. Like at least I haven't seen it's in the pull request state. But given that the structure of the project is almost identical, maybe it's not that problematic to port it once the Rust version will be there. So I'm definitely encouraging community to chip in with a contribution to those SDKs. And in terms of like next steps from the working group point of view, Ori and I serving as moderators for the NEPs whole like process will need to merge this pull request and making sure that we have all the meeting notes and summary of the decision recorded there. So just FYI, we're keeping track of all those things on GitHub as our single source of truth. So you will find, if necessary, all the references there. I don't think we need to do anything like beyond that. I think this NEP will be adopted, well, is already adopted, as William mentioned, implicitly through the implementation on the contract side. But we can also like add it to, we still, I think, should add it to the SDK so it's more widespread. Cool.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think now our next step is just to open it up to Q&A, and I already see that Albert posted something, so we can look at that. But also what I want to add is if you have any feedback on the process, and just how we can make it even better. We'd love to hear it as well. So yeah, we encourage anyone to speak up. You can either type in the Q&A or in the chat or request to speak, and we can let anyone do that. So yeah, let's start with Albert's first point here, which is I would love to help with the JavaScript libraries. I'm not the best Java dev, but I'm learning and growing. Let me know how I can help.
Yeah, I can probably take it from here. I guess all the contributions are welcome for sure. Please follow up with the NEAR SDK GS repo and start from learning from there how like the NEP 171 was like smart non-fungible tokens is implemented there, and consider adding also inspecting how it's done in Rust SDK, this pull request that I just mentioned, and maybe just port it almost file by file into it and see how that goes. But I think it's it could be a heavy lift for somebody who is just starting with like learning JavaScript. But yeah, I'm encouraging and I would love to see you succeed for sure. Any other questions do we have?
Or feedback?
It's like no other questions.
Okay, cool. All right, so just to touch on more ways to get involved in addition to Albert's comment. So I want to say that there are many ways to get involved. And as Vlad mentioned, we just recently kind of started developer governance and this process. So very much we're bootstrapping this and we're open to feedback. But let me share some of the ways that anyone can get involved. So if you have a specific idea in mind, we absolutely welcome you to author and submit a NEP on GitHub. You can check out the NEP 001 just for information and best practices, or you can talk to William, who just went through this process and can probably share insights. The other thing you could do is discuss upcoming NEPs. So just join discussions that are happening. Here are some open contract standards NEPs that are in the review stage that are probably going to be good candidates for close to decision stage. So please take a look at these. And then, oh wait, I see a question. Let me. Albert just asked, let's say I need help with something. If I had a question on the library, who can I contact? Is there a form?
You can always ask questions on Discord, but I think opening an issue or discussion on the relevant repo is the best way.
Yes, or there's a really
good.
Vlad, sorry, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was saying that totally second that suggestion to follow up on the relevant repo.
Yes, or if you maybe have an idea or you don't necessarily know exactly what you want to build, you just want to discuss something in an early phase, another great way is to join community groups, as I mentioned earlier on the call. And there's actually a Telegram channel for the NEAR Contract Standards community group. It has about 141 people as the last time that I checked. So feel free to join that Telegram channel, but also to you can start your own community group if you have a topic in a different area. Albert wrote, thanks a lot. I will follow up on repo. Can you send a Discord link too? Do you have links to these groups? Perfect. Thank you, Vlad, for posting that. Then the other thing I wanted to mention is you can join other working group calls. And I just wanted to put a plug for the next working group meeting, which is happening this Monday. It's the protocol working group, and we're going to be making a decision on NEP 366, which is meta transaction. So if you're interested, the link is over there. And also I will share another URL that's a little bit easier to copy and paste. Actually, let me copy this and put it in the chat. Okay. So yeah, and this is the general link. So near.org/developer governance has information about everything we discussed and the ways to get involved. And we also recently launched a Twitter account, near DevGov. So we encourage you to follow that. And over there, we'll be posting about more NEPs and more meetings in the future. So this brings us to the end. And I want to say a huge thank you to William for submitting this NEP and for taking the time to come here to discuss it with us and with the community. And also for the working group members who took the time to review it and give your thoughts, and to the community and those who attended. It's really awesome that we're starting to make progress, and hopefully we'll continue to do that. So thank you all. Take care.